driving Mahindra's all-new electric platform electric vehicle, the BE6E, and it is mind-blowing on every count. This is one of the most astounding cars I have ever driven. Exclude the electric bit, just as a product that one of India's largest automakers, car makers, has produced. This is their finest moment. This variant of the BE6E that I'm driving, and it's a bit of a mouthful, calling out, or rather being accustomed to not having a name for a car. Rather, Mahindra opting for an alphanumeric name, BE6E. It's supposed to be a BE5E. Fuck, I tell you, traffic in this city is just horrendous. So yeah, reality check. So coming back to the BE6E. This was supposed to be the BE5E, but I think Mahindra just thought it'd be cooler to have that sexy in the nomenclature. But this particular variant that I'm driving, well, this is the Pack 3 variant, and it comes with the 79 kilowatt hour battery, which is the largest battery pack Mahindra has to offer in its range. And keep in mind, the initial variants, I presume, that will roll out will be the Pack 1 variants, which is the entry level, and that price has been announced at 18.9 lakhs, which is just astounding. What does it get? What does the Pack 1 get? Well, it gets the 59 kilowatt hour battery. The Pack 3 that I'm driving, that gets the much larger battery. And if you look at my instrument console, you'd see that I've got 73% of charge, which means if I had to drive this at 100%, that range would easily be in the vicinity of about 500 kilometers, if not more. That is impressive. There are 3 driving modes in this vehicle. There's the range mode, which effectively gives you the maximum efficiency. There's the normal, or rather everyday mode, as Mahindra likes to call it, which is what you would use in everyday conditions. And of course, you've got the race mode, where you've got the full effect of the motor and that battery pack juicing this car up, giving it the phenomenal performance you'd expect from an electric vehicle. So there you see it, Lamborghini's Urus, outrageous design, phenomenal color, and then, well, of course, you come closer to home. You're sitting in probably one of the hottest electric vehicles I've ever sat in, the BE6E. Not only is it good looking, well, this has got, rather, can come pretty close to the performance envelope of that Urus. 0 to 100 in 6.7 seconds, very impressive. But keep in mind, this vehicle would probably accelerate a little faster than that Lamborghini Urus. So why do I say that the performance envelope of the BE6E is pretty close to that of the Urus? Well, that's because Mahindra has spared no effort in injecting all those state-of-the-art, technologically advanced and expensive, usually what we assume as expensive components, into their new generation electric vehicles. Now, be it the exterior design, the powertrain, the battery pack, the features, and right down to the chassis and the suspension. And this is where I think Mahindra has done a fantastic job. The suspension. It's got a 5-link suspension at the rear. Crap! Absolutely horrid roads here in Chennai. The rains, of course, have taken their toll. But the ride quality is impressive. What I do like is that phenomenal balance between stiffness, stability, and ride comfort. Now, this 5-link suspension at the rear and the multi-link at the front as well, it's electronically controlled, which means reaction times are down to about 150 milliseconds. And that's why the BE6E is able to react to surface deformities to abrasions, to potholes very quickly without letting it affect the occupants inside this cabin. Now that I'm driving the BE6E, one of the first thing that comes to mind is that this is a very busy cabin. I mean, there's just so many design elements in here. There's so many design details in here. There's just so much going on. It can get a bit confusing. It can also get a bit overwhelming. And I'm not entirely fond of the way these interiors have been developed. I do love certain elements. I love the steering wheel. Futuristic. Fantastic. I do like the seats. Enveloping. Comfortable. Ventilated. And Mahindra has tried to follow all of those contemporary design cues that are trending at the moment. Floating center console, massive instrument displays right here on the dashboard. But overall, it's just too busy. Another critical aspect about the BE6E that I do like is the fact that Mahindra has put in this very efficient steering system as well. And it's got a variable geometry ratio, which means as speeds change, the effort on the steering wheel will also change. It gets heavier or lighter depending on the conditions and situations you're driving in. So urban areas, the steering feels much lighter. As speed builds up, weight is added to that steering wheel as well. It's quite precise, it's quite direct, works pretty well. Yes, getting used to holding on to a 6-sided steering wheel can get some time to get used to. And the convoy has been ground to a halt, and effectively we're moving out of the BE6E. And now, whoops, impressive, that door opens up almost 90 degrees. And we're going into the XEV 9E. Let me quickly take you through some of the design highlights of the XEV 9E. Now this is of course the larger SUV, the larger electric SUV from Mahindra, which means effectively it is longer in size than the BE6E. And as you look at the front end, you can clearly see while it's got this signature light element that runs across the length of the hood, you've also got, well, a textured bumper area. This front lip or the front face is a textured area. There aren't any cavities in here. Of course, there are certain cavity areas in the lower lip, and that is basically for the airflow that is directed over the braking elements and for, well, lower drag resistance. But on the whole, this is a more elegant design, a softer design. Now, that light signature, let me just quickly show you what it looks like. And if you look at it, stretches out all across, like I said, to the base of the bumper. And here you got that very neat, there's a projector element and there are these smaller driving lamp elements as well. They look pretty impressive. On the whole, it's a fairly elegant car. There's another interesting element on this, which is the badge. This is Mahindra's new electric vehicle logo. This is the logo that will represent the fleet of cars that come out of their electric stables. These aren't ICE engines any longer, and that's why Mahindra thought it was a good idea to get a new logo, which is effectively the infinity symbol, or like some people say, an inverted meta symbol. But there you have it. This is what the XEV 9E looks like. Handsome, yes. Imposing, certainly. Grab your attention, without a doubt. So what does the rear cabin space feel like? Well, I'll say this much, it's handsomely appointed, plenty of features, and it's a very comfortable space to be in. As you can see, generous amounts of knee room, generous amounts of headroom as well. Over and above which, you've got this panoramic sunroof stretching from the front of the car all the way up to the rear. And it's got this light signature effect on this as well, which is absolutely new. We haven't seen this in any car available in India as of yet. And this enhances the mood, the ambient mood inside the cabin, because that light signature, well, you can decide what kind of colors you want to set on it, including the ambient lighting around the car. Now, in addition to the comfort level, here's a nice bit. The backrest on these seats can be folded down. So after a hard day's work, if you want to just stretch out and you're being shopped around, well, you can just recline the backrest and relax in this space. It's a comfortable space to be in. And like I said, handsomely appointed. Here are some of the features that I'd like to talk about. You've got individual charging points, Type-C charging points behind each seat for each of these passengers, including the third passenger. So while you've got one on the driver's behind the driver's seat and the passenger seat, you also got a wireless charging pad in the recess right below these aircon vents. And in addition, you also get, of course, your armrest with cup holders in here. Now this bench has got a 60-40 split. So if you wanted to put larger objects into your boot, something that may not fit in the conventional space available, you can fold down one of these seats and get that additional room. So all in all, it's a fairly good cabin space to be in. Now, here's my only concern with this cabin, and those are these cream-colored interiors, both for the roof lining and of course for the seats. In a short drive, this has already attracted a lot of staining from footprints, staining from just dust that's been flying around, which just sticks onto these seats, gets dirtier, becomes grimy, and well, doesn't leave a good taste, wouldn't leave a good taste for owners. But however, seeing that Mahindra has made some corrections, especially in the Thar Rocks, which also had similar interiors, I'm assuming that at some point in the future, Mahindra may also look at changing the interior colors on the XEV 9e, and that will enhance this cabin, at least make it a little more likable for people who want to own this SUV. It's a pretty tidy rear end as well on the XEV 9e. Of course, it's got the badge running across the boot lid along with the illuminated brand logo as well over there. But here are some of the more impressive bits for me. It's effectively this element out here. It's got a coupe-ish like roof line. It slopes down towards the rear and extends itself into the boot area. But here are these two elements which act like air splitters at the top of the windscreen. That looks pretty impressive to me. And well, if you've seen this closely, you'll notice that it looks something more like what Urus has, the Lamborghini has on the Urus. Well, so you can say that there are a few design elements that well have been inspired from other car makers and other products as well. Again, let's look at the light signature on the tailgate. And there you have it. That's the light signature that runs across the tailgate. Pretty impressive light work for that matter. The other part about this is the XEV 9e gets a power tailgate. And with enormous amounts of space. The space in this boot goes to almost about 600 liters. You've got a spare wheel in there, and again, retracting it just requires the press of a button. No fancy footwork involved in here. So there you have it. On the whole, it is an imposing design. It is a grab your attention kind of a design, and but it does have that elegance and sophistication that someone looking for a more upmarket, a more premium electric vehicle, well, this is what Mahindra has drawn up for them. So what do I think of the Mahindra twins? Well, they're not identical, that's for sure, but they are very interesting and they bring a very interesting proposition to the table. I think Mahindra have truly outdone themselves, whether it's in the engineering department, whether it's design, whether it is the interiors, whether it's the comfort and the luxury. I genuinely believe Mahindra is one manufacturer that has matured as a car maker admirably, from making low-cost budget vehicles going all the way up into the premium segments as well, cars that they have made themselves. The XEV 9e and the BE6e is a phenomenal example of the growth path a manufacturer ought to take. Now, are these products something that you should buy? Well, and that's where the problem lies, because the electric vehicle environment in India today, it's not just about the product any longer. Manufacturers are able to make out fantastic products. It's just that the environment that exists in the country is inadequate, grossly inadequate. and is just not supportive enough. While the XC V9e and the BE6e with the 79 kilowatt hour battery pack offer phenomenal range and make it possible to travel between cities, maybe even interstate, it's something I'm not entirely confident of even now. And that, I think, is a big concern. The other concern for most consumers is, of course, resale values. And no matter how good these products are, at the end of the day, if a consumer is not able to get the resale value he'd like or want, well, cars like this just don't make sense. So, as a product and as something that tugs at your heart, Mahindra has made something fantastic. But for those of you who live in a more practical world, who are more realistic about what they like to achieve with an electric car, perhaps it's not time yet to migrate to electrics.